who catastrophized, I cannot spell something, catastrophized mistakes, then all of a sudden you can't make mistakes, right? This leads to the perfectionism. Every little thing, maybe you were setting a table as a kid and you dropped a plate and it broke and your parents were like, oh my gosh, why did you do that? And it made such a big deal out of a little thing. All of a sudden you learn that it's not okay to make mistakes. So catastrophizing mistakes. Maybe you had a parent who was highly critical. And by the way, they don't just have to be highly critical of you. Maybe you had a mom who was always criticizing or putting down your dad, or you had a mom who was always criticizing and talking judgmentally about the neighbors. All of this creates our rules for the world, right? When I was growing up, my parents would talk negatively about people who had money. Well, that created a rule for me that if you had money, you were going to be talked negatively about, you were going to be judged, and so I held myself back financially for a lot of years. If you had a parent who played the comparison game, so maybe they constantly compared you to little Susie down the street, or to your cousin, or to one of your siblings. Maybe you had a parent who was a perfectionist or a people pleaser. Maybe you had a parent who wasn't around, right? So you had a parent who worked a lot. And even though you know that they had to work a lot in order to make money, to take care of the family, they still weren't there with you. And I've worked with a number of kids who they have these confidence issues and their parents bring me in, and when we get into it, the kids are like, look, I know that my parents, for us to live in this big house, for me to have these designer shoes and clothes, that my parents have to work a lot, but I would rather them spend time with me than me have any of the physical stuff. And so if you're never really there or you had a parent who was never really there, then that can be a little T trauma. Now we could be here all night talking about little T traumas, but we're only here for an hour today. We're already 20 minutes in, so let's get into what everybody came here for. How do these events ultimately create wounds, and how are those wounds showing up in your life? So we're going to start with the rejection wound. So how does the rejection wound show up in your business or your career? If I can spell. So in your business or career, you're less likely to ask for opportunities or to put yourself out there. I was on a call the other day and somebody was like, I really want to build my coaching business, but I don't want to be like this public figure. I don't want to have to put my face on social media. And when we got down to it, there was a rejection wound there. It was like this fear of being seen, whatever that means for you. So fear of, asking for the sale, fear of selling, asking for the sale, fear of putting your face on social media, fear of doing all of these things that will progress your career, asking